Guerrier, you stole my thunder. But that's been happening a lot lately because most of my punchlines for the last 10 years, 15 years has been, make Juneteenth a holiday. So Congress stole my thunder earlier this week. So I'm getting used to it, but let me first of all, wait a minute, let me start again. Let me apologize for not having doctor in front of his name. I respect him for the master's degree and the doctorate degrees and the bachelor's degrees, but it takes all kinds. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. A little bit different than his. And if the gentleman over here with this waiting will give me a minute to apologize, we're going to start the video, but let me just tell you, it takes all kinds. I don't have a doctorate. I don't have a master's. I don't have a bachelor's degree. I have an associate's degree and it took me 10 years to get it. Because I got married at 16. I was a single mother at 17. I had to raise my child and grow up with my child. She's got the master's in the family. And she's at home raising 6 kids. So even with the master's, it doesn't always tell you where you're going to go. I had on-the-job training. I've been working since I was 15 years old. And my stepfather always said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Keep your mouth closed, keep your ears open, listen and learn. So every job that I went on, I asked questions. I asked for, give me some cross-training. How do you do that? So I started 10 years with Procter & Gamble, and we came in, we had key punchers. For that matter, we weren't even allowed to wear slacks to work. When I started at Procter & Gamble, you had to have dresses. Your toes had to be inside your shoes. You had to have sleeves. It took almost 5 years before we finally were allowed to wear coordinated pantsuits, which meant you also had to have a vest or a jacket to go with your blouse and your slacks. And this was during the age of hot pants, so you know, those of you who are here know how far back I'm going. And eventually I did wear hot pants to work one day. I told him it was my summer pantsuit, but I wore a vest, I wore hosiery, and my toes were in the shoes. I was a little bit of a rebel then too. But again, I have worked my way through this. 20 years ago, I did not know Juneteenth. So if you don't know about Juneteenth, it's not too late. I started off with, as I say, growing up with my daughter, raising my siblings, helping my mother. And then my grandfather said, learn your family history and pass it on to the family. He didn't tell the story either. He didn't even tell me he had changed his name because he was running from Tennessee. It took years, and I'm like, so why did he disappear off the census record? That I finally found him. And his sister said, you found him. I'm like, yeah, could have helped if y'all had told me, but they didn't tell. They left out of Memphis, running. And I said, well, how did we get to Illinois? They said, well, it had something to do with the cousins being lynched, but we don't know the story. Your grandfather should have told you before he died. He was the oldest. Come to find out, we had 6 relatives that had been lynched. September 1st, August 31st, September 1st of 1894. Not 1865. This was 30 years later they were lynched. And, oh, by the way, Dr. Guerrier, for your, I don't want to really correct you, but let's do a little math checking. 1865 was 156 years ago, not 166. And I could say something a little bit about Catholic school education, but I had it too, so I can't talk about that. I could, but anyhow, let me just read a letter that I sent out this morning to everyone, and I'd like to share it with the audience because I'm going to need your help. And I'll just read you an excerpt. It says, special request to the Governor Sisolak, Mayor Goodman, Nevada officials, Las Vegas tourism, hotels, casinos, Las Vegas sports teams and businesses, etc. While we are ecstatic for recognition, we did not receive the opportunity to celebrate in Washington as we should have. To achieve the eligibility level to even ask for a holiday, you need a certain number of state ratifications. Nevada's 39th state ratification of the Juneteenth Day of Observance was the qualifier. We are the reason they were able to get a holiday. Right now, we have 49 states recognizing Juneteenth, but we are the one that tipped the barrel over to put us in position where they could have a holiday recognition. So, I'm asking Nevada to claim home status for Juneteenth celebration 2021. I want to throw a welcoming party like no other for Team Juneteenth Nation. I would like for the state to allow the Myers family, the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation, the directors and volunteers in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, to have a gathering in Las Vegas to celebrate the signing of legislation and commemorate the history leading to Juneteenth Independence Day. I'm asking the state to support us and our elected officials to give the Juneteenth Nation the proper recognition for their nearly 30 years of work. Juneteenth completes the cycle of freedom in this country. Independence Day frees the country from the British. Juneteenth Independence Day finally gives freedom to the people. All things Juneteenth. Please support, write the governor, talk to the mayor, talk to the tourism board. I think we should have a parade just like you have it when we're going to get these holiday sports titles. I think we should have the people come here where, like I said, we were the tipping point. We've earned our place in the Juneteenth history. But we're not the only ones. Ms. Opal has walked. We were standing still, but we were right in the middle of everything. We have told the tale. We will continue to tell the tale, and we're going to work for legislation for Juneteenth. We're going to work because the next step is to get us. We don't have a day of observation here. And my plan was to request a state holiday with the next assembly in 2 years. I'm told the governor can give us a signature now. So first of all, I'm going to ask the governor to give us a state holiday for Nevada for Juneteenth, upgrade from our Day of Observance. And again, I'm hoping that we may end up in Carson City. I was told this morning if it happens, it'll be Carson City. But I would really like to see us have a proper recognition because they move things so quickly. 3 days after 30 years of chasing this holiday, they pushed it through in 3 days for their benefit so that they could get the right publicity or whatever the reason they had. And all the people that should have been in Washington was not there. Sylvia Myers and her children were not in Washington, D.C. That is Dr. Myers' widow, who founded the organization, and his sons. They should have been in Washington. I think we deserve better. We've been shortchanged enough. It's time to change the status. I hope you agree with me. And now we're going to bring Stan Armstrong up to the front, and we're going to get a little vignette, and we're going to go forward from there. But again, please, let's push for some recognition for Nevada because we've earned it.